What if the deadliest curse was the only thing keeping you alive? Deep within the forgotten mist of the Eldoria Valley, 7 sisters are bound by a rule that must never be broken. But when young Nyx uncovers 7 emerald serpents whispering in the shadows, she realizes their family sanctuary is actually a prison. These aren't just reptiles, they are the lost heirs to a fallen kingdom, and a shape-shifting sorceress is coming to claim their souls before the final moon rises. Forget everything you know about happy endings, because in this twisted folklore, trust is a trap, and the only way to break the spell is to make the ultimate sacrifice. But before we get to the scary part, we have to go back to the beginning, to a hidden cottage that looked like it was ripped straight out of a Pinterest board. In the heart of the Eldoria Valley, far away from the noise of the city and the endless scrolling of social media, lived a man named Silas and his 7 daughters. Silas wasn't just a regular dad, he was a protector, a man who had built a safe haven for his girls after their mother passed away. He raised them to be fierce, independent, and incredibly talented. It was like a house full of main characters. There was Harper, the oldest, who could paint landscapes so realistic you'd swear the wind was blowing through the canvas. Then there was Willow, the chef of the family, whose comfort food could literally heal a broken heart. Quinn was the fashionista, sewing outfits that looked like high-end couture, while Jade could turn any dusty room into an interior design masterpiece. Sky was the musician, always humming tunes that calmed the forest animals. And Ivy had a green thumb that could make flowers bloom in the snow. And then there was the youngest, Nyx. Nyx was different. She was the quiet one, the observer, the one who preferred the company of animals over people. While her sisters were busy perfecting their hobbies, Nyx was out in the woods, rescuing injured critters. She had built a sanctuary in their backyard, a literal animal shelter where stray cats, wounded birds, and lost puppies found a home. But her latest rescue was the most controversial. She had found a crate in the woods, taped shut and abandoned by some cruel human. Inside were 7 shimmering emerald green snakes. Now, most people would run the other way, but Nyx felt a weird connection to them. She brought them home, cleaned them up, and gave them a warm place to sleep. These weren't normal reptiles. They were intelligent. They watched her with eyes that seemed almost human, and they never, ever tried to bite. It was like they were guarding her. The family also had a dog, a fluffy white protector named Barnaby. Barnaby was a good boy, the kind of dog who loves everyone. But for some reason, he was super protective around Nyx and her snakes. Life was perfect, almost too perfect, until the day Silas gathered his daughters in the living room with a serious look on his face. He had to go to the city for business, a rare trip that he had been dreading. The city was dangerous, filled with rumors of missing girls and dark magic, but he had no choice. He looked at his daughters and gave them one strict rule, a rule that sounds simple, but is actually the hardest thing to follow in any horror movie. Do not open the door for anyone. He warned them about strangers, about tricksters, and told them that no matter what someone says, the lock stays on. The girls promised. They did a group hug, packed him some of Willow's famous sandwiches, and watched him drive away. The vibe in the house shifted immediately. It was just the 7 of them now. For the first few days, everything was chill. They had their routine. Harper painted, Quinn sewed, and Nyx took care of her snakes, who seemed to be growing bigger and more alert by the day. But then the atmosphere changed. A heavy fog rolled into the valley, and a knock echoed on the front door. It wasn't a delivery guy, it was an old woman. She looked harmless, wearing vintage clothes, leaning on a cane, with a sweet grandmotherly smile. She called out in a shaky voice, claiming to be their Auntie Mags, their mother's long-lost sister. Now here is where the red flags start waving. The sisters were smart. Harper, being the oldest, called out through the door, "We don't have an aunt. Our mom was an only child." Boom. Logic. But this old woman, who was actually a powerful shape-shifting sorceress named Morrigan, didn't back down. She started gaslighting them, saying she had been living overseas, that she was tired, that she just wanted to see her nieces. She played the emotional card perfectly. But then, Barnaby, the dog, lost his mind. He wasn't just barking, he was growling, his hackles raised, warning them that the thing on the porch was a monster, not a family member. The sisters trusted the dog. They didn't open the door. Morrigan, realizing her sweet old lady act wasn't working, dropped the mask for a split second, her eyes glowing with rage, before storming off. She realized she couldn't brute force her way in. She needed to be smarter. She needed to use their weaknesses against them. The next day, she returned, but not empty-handed. She used her dark magic to conjure up a table full of the most delicious-looking enchanted cupcakes right on their dining table, inside the house. Teleportation magic. These weren't just snacks, they were laced with a potent sleeping curse. The sisters, thinking it was a surprise from Willow, gathered around. They were laughing, taking selfies, and enjoying the treat, all except Nyx. Nyx was outside in the garden, feeding her 7 snakes and playing with Barnaby. She missed the snack time completely. Inside the house, the curse took hold instantly. The sisters didn't fall asleep. They fell into a trance. Their eyes glazed over. Their willpower vanished. That's when Morrigan knocked again. This time, she didn't beg. She commanded, "Open the door, my dears." And because they were under the spell, the sisters moved like zombies. They unlocked the sanctuary. Barnaby sprinted to the door, barking furiously, trying to snap them out of it, but Morrigan was ready. She burst through the door, no longer an old lady, but a terrifying witch in dark robes. She pointed a bony finger at the dog and commanded the sisters to lock him away, and they did. They dragged poor Barnaby into a dark closet and locked him in. This is the moment where your heart just breaks, right? Nyx heard the commotion and ran inside only to find a nightmare. Her sisters were standing in a line, blank-faced, and a terrifying witch was standing in their living room, holding a jagged sword that glowed with green energy. Morrigan saw Nyx, the only one not under the spell, and smiled a wicked, toothy grin. She realized Nyx hadn't eaten the cupcakes, but it didn't matter. She had the numbers. Morrigan revealed her plan. She wasn't just a random intruder. She was hunting the lost heirs, and she needed the life force of 7 sisters to complete a dark ritual that would make her immortal. She had been watching them for years. She trapped Nyx in the room, sealing the exits with magic. The vibe was pure survival horror. Morrigan, enjoying her victory, decided to play a twisted game. She looked at the sisters and said, "Since you opened the door, you get to choose how you perish." It was sick. She walked up to Harper first. Harper, tears streaming her face, but unable to control her body, said, "Start with my head because I was too stupid to see through your lies." Morrigan laughed, the sound echoing like cracking bones. She moved to Anabia, who offered her hands, then to Orisha, who offered her ears because she listened to the witch's lies. It went down the line, each sister offering up a part of themselves in a tragic confession of guilt. It was psychological torture. Finally, she reached Nyx. The witch raised the glowing sword, ready to strike the final blow that would seal the ritual. She asked Nyx, "And you, the little rat who plays with snakes, what do you have to say?" Nyx looked at the witch, tears in her eyes, but she didn't beg. She remembered the 7 emerald serpents she had cared for. She remembered Barnaby. She remembered her father's rule. And in that moment of pure adrenaline, Nyx did something unexpected. She didn't scream. She whistled. A sharp, piercing whistle that she used to call her animals. Suddenly, the windows shattered. The 7 emerald snakes, who had been growing massive in the garden, slithered into the room with supernatural speed. They weren't just attacking, they were coordinated. They wrapped around the witch's limbs, binding her. Morrigan screamed, trying to burn them with her magic, but their scales were impervious to her spells. In the chaos, the sword fell from her hand and skidded across the floor, landing right at Nyx's feet. This was the boss battle moment. Nyx grabbed the sword. It was heavy, humming with dark energy, and she realized she had to end this. She looked at the witch, who was struggling against the giant snakes, and shouted, "Get out of my house!" She swung the sword, not to kill, but to shatter the source of the witch's power, the amulet around her neck. The blade connected with the black stone, and an explosion of light blinded everyone.
The house shook like an earthquake. A vortex of wind swirled around Morrigan, screaming as her physical form disintegrated into ash. The spell was broken. The sisters collapsed, coughing and waking up from their trance, confused and terrified. But the magic show wasn't over. As the dust settled, the 7 emerald snakes began to glow. Their green scales dissolved into shimmering light, and right there in the living room, the reptiles transformed. Standing before the sisters were 7 tall, handsome young men, dressed in royal attire that looked like it was from a different century. The leader, a guy with intense eyes named Kale, stepped forward. He explained everything. They weren't